Well, hello, good evening. Welcome to Fido Live number 106. We are simultaneously recording this on an iPhone as well as the QuickTime camera. Between the two of you, one of you ought to get this show out. All right, let's start with what we've done last week. What half the cartoonists raw. We still don't have the chief color, so you see it's still black and white. Someday, Fido will be color again. I just can't tell you when. All I've got to do now really are the erasures. Most of the erasing is done here on the lettering. If you don't know why, maybe today I'll explain why all erasing needs to be done to lettering more or less. Alright, this is the Monday, 22nd of July. As you can see, we are up to the 29th now. Let's see if both cameras can get that. Alright. Felicia Fido. Felicia says, "Are you okay? That hurt. Do I have to hit you again? How could I ever have been so wrong? I shall never doubt your wisdom again." Her debating tactics are crude, but effective. All right, there's the Monday. Tuesday, we have Dino, Fido, Felicia. Dino's got his bag here. "I'm leaving my food in the fridge to eat later. Can I ask you two to please not steal it?" "Sure, okay." Later. "I'd better eat Dino's food before Felicia does." And Felicia's in the kitchen eating the food. "I knew that I had to eat this before you did." See, it's the prisoner's dilemma. All right. Let's put that aside. Wednesday. Fido and Felicia again. This is becoming a current, a long-running theme now, isn't it? "I feel so unappreciated. What do you actually do around here?" I'm the cat. Cats are exceedingly rare around here." And he takes her out to the hallway and points to all the cats living downstairs. "I'm the only cat who lives up here. We appreciate that there is only one of you." Alright. It's Thursday. Fido, Felicia, Bo. They're sweating. "I'm getting an air conditioner." He's got the new air conditioner. Felicia likes the box. "This will make it cooler." And while putting it in the window, he falls out the window. You know, he's right. That was cool. All right, and here's a Friday, which we may or may not be inking today. I did the finished penciling. And as I've said many times, never draw your characters that small. Squishing your head. I'm squishing your head. Ladies, we have a problem. There are no real men out there. Just creeps. Some guy winked at me. I had to call the police on him. They all pause to drink, and Fido says, "You won't do that again. Not for 10 years. 7 if he gets out for good behavior." No men out there, just creeps. Of course, Dino's sitting here in the corner. Friday. You guys can't see this at all because it's just a rough pencil. See, I do the rough penciling with an old-fashioned Dixon Ticonderoga. I leave this for over a month, it will just fade away. Whereby a more substantive pencil like the Blackwing gives me the finished look that stays around for a little while longer. So we have Bo, Fido, Felicia, and Dino. They're at the dinner table. Felicia yells, "Hey, I'm the cat. You feed me first." "You're not going to eat it anyway." And of course she pushes it aside. "Ugh, I'm not eating this." And the last panel, Fido's on the table. And he's got the plate that Felicia just rejected. If I was a cat, I wouldn't eat it either. The alternative jokes, punchlines to this were, wasn't it better when we just had a dog or before we had a cat? But no, we didn't do that. So what I was thinking is that since we have a camera backup, why don't we draw a whole new Fido comic strip? Something that I tried to do last week, but failed because I didn't have the backup cameras working right. So, we do it from a blank page to something that looks like a comic strip. I use a smooth bristle because I work on a brush. You don't want any tooth in your bristle. Smooth is better. 19 by 24. And if you just sort of cut it in half the long way, you have the perfect size for a comic strip. These are already cut these. But It's as simple as getting in there with a pair of scissors and a ruler. I try not to use a ruler as much as possible. All right, let's pull down a comics calibrator up here. This is the comics calibrator. It's dirty, filthy, need to replace it. This one I made February 4th, 2024, and it's already this dirty. I'd like to call your attention to these birds' beaks on either side, and these little tick marks I have up here. We'll be starting with them. I lay it to the edge of the page and make a tick mark there, there, there. These allow me to measure the panels, which are 4 9/16 by 5 13/16. Now you might ask, why are they that size? And I could just say because it makes me happy. But no, literally, what I did many years ago when I was just a cub cartoonist, I took a newspaper comic strip and then used that system by where you this is the comic strip. You draw an arrow from corner to corner, and then you're able to scale it up to the proper size. And I knew I wanted to use this size paper, and that's how I figured out, after a lot of bad maths, how big I'm going to make the panels. Now I'm sure somewhere there's a better way of doing it, better way of figuring it out. But that's what I did many years ago. So anyway, since this is a square piece of paper, when I put it against the batten at the bottom of the drafting board, it makes a nice vertical line for me. And I'm making vertical lines. Now, I may have to next call your attention to the bird's beaks that I pointed out earlier. Those are what help me make the horizontal line. I just stick the pencil in here and run it along. Now, quickly and easily, I'm able to lay out an entire comic strip, less than a minute. Something that if I was sitting there with a ruler, would have taken me a lot longer, and it wouldn't have been as uniform and accurate as this is. Bingo, comic strip laid out. Now that's not all the comics calibrator does. You see along the sides, I have these hash marks. That's the lettering guide. My lettering is 5/16 high with an 1/8 inch gutter. The gutter is a space in between the lines. So just like laying out a piece of old schoolboy note paper. I'm just going to make 4 lines here. Well, let's go 5. You don't ever want to do more than 5 lines. I know I have lines going the entire length of this, but any more than 5 lines, you're taking up the entire you're taking out half the panel with dialogue, and nobody wants to read that much. I got to reach across the 2 cameras to get my parallel gliding ruler, and I did so without hitting the cameras. Good job, Charles. All right, let's put that up there temporarily. Now, we've got to lay out for the lettering. I use a parallel gliding ruler because it always gives me nice, beautiful little parallel lines. So these rubber wheels on it make it difficult for it to go off parallel. That also saves a lot of time. Let's go to the writing book and pick out what we're going to do. I think I tentatively wanted to do this one because it's not all that funny, but I think maybe we can make it funny with just some inspiration as we're drawing today. This one, Felicia and Fido. Fido says, "You're right." Felicia says, "What?" Fido says, "I said you're right." Felicia says, "About what?" Whatever. Doesn't matter. I guess not. Not all that funny, but maybe we can make it funnier with the drawings. What do you think? We did it last week. You guys just didn't see it. All right. I should put on a glove because, as you know, cartoonists are the dirtiest, filthiest creatures on the face of this planet. And if I don't wear a glove, I'm going to get my filth onto this nice, clean, beautiful paper. Now, since there's nothing already written on the paper and I'm worried about smudging, I don't need to put down a piece of paper yet to protect anything yet. So let's, oh, I just noticed something. Both characters are speaking at the same time in each panel. And when they do that, I'm going to use this lettering guide on this side that's offset 50%. For no reason other than it makes me happy when two characters are speaking on the same panel. I like to have the dialogue on different levels. See if I can find any examples of that. Well, I guess this is the only example we're going to use right now. And no, it's on the same level. Here we go. He won't do that again. See how it's offset 50%? The top of it's in the middle here. Bottom of it's top of the next line. No, it's slightly offset. Makes me happy. I think makes it look better too. All right, let's get started here. The first line is "You're right," so I guess I can do that with just 2 lines. You're so people at home are really not going to be able to see anything of this. Let me see what happens when I turn the light off. Will the camera might freak out on me. The problem is I'm using it doesn't help at all. I'm using a Dixon Ticonderoga. It's a very light pencil, so it's easy to erase. You definitely want the guidelines to be erasable. Second, Fido repeats, "I said, you're right." So, I said on one line, "You're" on the second line, and "right" on the third line. Nice to make little packets of dialogue that go well in my word balloon. Alicia's response to that is, "About what?" Does it matter? Does it in one line? Matter in the second line? Question mark. And finally, I guess not. And I'm going to do this on 3 lines. "I" all by itself, "guess" on the second line, and "not" on the third line. Now on these horizontal guidelines, I like to put, well, all of Fido's script is tilted 22.5 degrees in that direction. Why? Because the Earth is tilted 22.5 degrees in that direction. And by my logic, that makes my lettering straight. I could give that excuse, or I could just say, because it makes me happy. Don't do anything that doesn't make you happy. That's my philosophy. So I'm just creating these angled lines that will tell me when I'm doing the lettering how much of a slant I've got to put on the lettering. Unfortunately, there's not very much lettering in this. So how close can I move to this camera stand without hitting it? All right. So, I, O, U, And you can almost see that. I don't dare have Irving on camera one pull in any closer because the way I've got the camera set up, it's stuck. We're not doing any close-ups today. What? See, the response here is typically American, where someone else might say, you know, pardon or anything else. Americans will just say, what? I say, you're right. I must admit I'm having a little bit of difficulty angling my body to do the lettering because the cameras are in the way. I'm eventually going to get a camcorder that will record to a little SIM disc, and then I'll send it to the computer. Until that time, yep, still recording. Until that time, we're gonna have to come up with this with a backup. Fido might work. About what? And does it matter? Yeah. Originally, the way I wrote it was Fido. Fido was saying, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just going to short down to doesn't matter. Part of the battles I had as a child with my older sister is arguing over who's right about what. And that would bring us to points where I'll bet you $1 million, but I don't have $1 million. Well, see, that means you know you're wrong. No, it just means I don't want to make a bet I can't. I guess not. Oh, we've got the most important part. On the lettering guide, you'll see these little tick marks at the bottom. I put those way over here. Use the edge of the page to draw up around here. As you see, it says sign. That's where I put my signature. Most important part. Why do I put my signature up the side here? Because my childhood cartooning idol, Burke Breathed from Bloom County, used to do that. Still does that, in fact. I haven't seen Bloom County in years, but I'm pretty sure he's still doing it. All right, and now it's laid out and lettered. Now we get to go in there and do the fun stuff, which is the actual cartooning. And in this case, I'm going to have to lay down a piece of paper just in case, so I don't make many smudges and smears. Yes, I know I probably could put down a blank piece of paper, but you know that would have given me the opportunity to do this bit. So remember last week, I made a comment about the. I saw my first Tesla pickup truck and it looked like the trash barrel, which other people made that observations. Well, apparently it looks the same to raccoons. This poor guy has had his truck bed beaten up and eaten because raccoons think it's a dumpster. Dumpsters around there look like that. So, not only do I think they look like trash cans, so do the trash pandas. Also, last week I was making fun of the Chinese-made armored cars, that they're not quite like the American armored cars. One of them got stuck on a curb, was defeated by a curb. And I was criticized for not taking into account what's going on in Bolivia. I'm a cartoonist in America. I really don't give a fuck about what's going on in Bolivia. But here we go. This is Evo Morales, the once and future president of Bolivia. He resigned November 2019 and fled the country after he tried running for an unprecedented fourth term. Riots in the streets. The woman who took over was charged with the 22 people who died in the protests, and she actually held elections, which elected this beautiful guy. This is Louis Aker. Don't let the crazy eyes fool you. He's actually a smart man. He was the finance minister under old. That's really his haircut. He's not wearing an animal on his head. Under old Morales. He was speaking to his favorite general, according to the general. And here's the general. He hasn't missed. You can tell he hasn't missed very many meals. And what's the deal with the scarf? I see his people have it too. Must be very cold in Bolivia, I guess. I don't know. According to General Zuinga, the president told me the situation was bad and approaching critical. It was needed to push his popularity. Shall I take the wonderful Chinese armored cars out? Says Zinga. Take them out, says President Arce. And apparently this whole coup was just sort of a wag the dog moment in Bolivia, they're saying. In all coup operations, you take out the communications in the palace, and these guys are sitting pretty in the palace with no trouble whatsoever. So it looks like they're going to bring, Morales is leading in the polls in Donald Trump tradition. Yeah, and that's what's going on in Bolivia. I'm sure you're all fascinated. I don't think I'll ever have to talk about Bolivia again. Done. This is Kimberly A. Cheadle. She's the head of the Secret Service and Donald Trump's protection, and former head of security at PepsiCo, as Twitter guy Elon Musk famously said. Before she was guarding Trump, she was guarding Cheetos. She made many excuses why the Secret Service let this happen, let the gunner shoot the former president. Amongst them was the responsibility of local police, and the second was that the roof was too sloped to put agents up there. Now here's the actual gunman on the roof. Let's see, maybe. I don't want to criticize the woman because I'll come off sounding like a misogynist. Yeah, that's probably a 10-1. Yeah, a 10-1 slope. What do you think? But far be it from me to criticize the U.S. Secret Service or their leaders. Now, I wanted to put on my tinfoil hat for the next segment because it's really funny to see conspiracy theorists and how they're running this. And let me properly form a tinfoil hat. What do you think? How does that look? All right, here we go. Okay, here's what the tinfoil hats people are saying. I'd like to introduce you to Janine Dischupepe. She's the assistant director of the FBI, and apparently was in the crowd behind Trump signaling the sniper. Now, I'm pretty sure that the sniper couldn't see her, and it wasn't much of a signal. But when everyone's like jumping and diving, look how poised she's sitting there. And then afterwards, she just gets out her camera to try to take pictures of the body. Now, FBI says that Assistant Director Janine wasn't in Pennsylvania at the time, but they're not really saying where she was at the time. So, conspiracy theorists think that. Plus, there's a second and third sniper, and what else? There's a bunch of other stuff. Some other group did some shorting of Donald Trump's stock, and when they found out he was alive and they were going to lose their money, suddenly that short contract disappeared. So they got their money back. Oh, I don't know any of this stuff. Yeah, I guess I don't need the tinfoil cap for this one. Let's put this aside. I might need it for later. So hold on to the tinfoil cap. This is Tenacious D, otherwise known as Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Apparently, Kyle Gass is the guy who's behind Elf. Anyone remember? Shumway? Whatever. Elf was the puppet in a family sitcom. So they had a bit in Australia where it was Gass's birthday, and the robot brought out a birthday cake, and I guess they were doing a Make-A-Wish moment, or maybe not, who knows. But Gass said, "Don't miss Trump next time," end quote. Perfect opportunity for Jack Black to say, "Whoa, hey, it's just a joke." No. Jack just carried on. Jack said he was blindsided, didn't expect it, but he said that after all the shit show went down. Aussie Senator Ralph Babbitt, who I'm told by my friends in Australia is kind of a whack job no one listens to anyway, but it's funny, says to deport them, and they've had like 1,000 venues canceled. Tenacious D is most famous for their song, and I hope everyone doesn't have their kids here fornicate her gently, or just fuck her gently, is the name of their great song. Now, I've been watching lately Rick and Morty. How many of these shows did they make? There's 71 of them. 3 days. I think I've seen every Rick and Morty, and I thought I'd seen every Rick and Morty, but there were so many I hadn't seen. And toward the end, it gets kind of girl bossy, and I've never been a misogynist. I've never been a sexist. But if you're not a sexist by 2024, you're just not paying attention. The mother wants a more fulfilling life, so she has a clone of herself made, and she goes out into space to leave the family so she can enjoy her life, and then comes back to do lesbian stuff with her clone. Yeah, okay. So, 24 writers on Rick and Morty. Many of them have gone off to pollute Hollywood. Only half of them did one episode. So, how has the Rick and Morty disease spread through Hollywood? Well, let's see. We got Mike McKeon, who did Star Trek Lower Decks. We have Mike Waldron. Oh, we know him. Loki, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and maybe Star Wars. Jessica Gao. Oh, yeah, we know her. She-Hulk. Erica Rube and Sarah Carbon, FX, You're the Worst, and Rick and Morty spinoff they're going to do. Don't know anything about it. Jane Becker, and she does Hulu's Future Man, and she's going to do another Harley Quinn thing. Yeah, I'm tired of Harley Quinn now. Maybe I'm a sexist, but they're just doing bad stories with her. She was just a bit player next to the Joker. What the fuck? Yeah. James Fido and Kenny Micca doing HBO's Animals. Stephen Sandoval was working on a director on Gravity Falls, and Jeff Loveness. He's famous for Ant-Man: Quantumania. So yeah, I've seen every Rick and Morty now. I can say over a very short period. Like the show, sort of. You just sort of want to follow the storylines and realize that so much of the story was written by 24 different people. But hopefully Harmon was on top and kept the spirit correct the way you wanted it. This is Jeff Zaslav. He wants to. They're going to split up Warner Brothers again. Because Jeff lives in Robert Evans' old house. Robert Evans was the producer on Paramount who did The Godfather and a bunch of really great films. Yeah, so he's actually living in Robert Evans' house. All he needs is a plate full of cocaine, and he's there. So he wants to take all the stuff that might be successful and have a profit and make one company, and then put everything else in this company, and then he wants to take credit for this company. So good luck, Mr. Zaslav. I'm pretty sure Evans would have approved. And where would we be if we didn't beat up on Disney? And what am I going to beat up on Disney now? Oh yes, we're going to beat up on Disney one last time. You'll never hear this word from me again, The Acolyte. Now let's see, here's an early advertisement for The Acolyte. Now that it's over, we know that this character was not in the film. We know this character was not in the film. We know she certainly wasn't in the film. The Wookiee was in the film, but his lightsaber wasn't. He didn't have that lightsaber with the hilts. And this might be the guy who committed self-deletion. Maybe. And this green area wasn't in the film. Wasn't in the TV show. So this is going to lead to something in a few seconds, and I'll tell you what it is. Now, they also showed us these 3 Sith people with 1, 2, 4 lightsabers and a broom. These 3 were not in The Acolyte. My thesis here is they spent $250 million plus just to give Leslie Headland work, and they tagged Darth Plagueis in like last second thought. He's creeping in the corner, watching over people's shoulders. This was the worst you've done yet, Disney. Star Wars, as Chris Gore has said, is truly dead. Jeez. I went through all that and I still don't have a piece of paper I can lay down on the board. We don't need it. I'm gonna... Do I? Maybe turn on the lights, maybe not. Let's think for a second here. You're right. What? I don't know what I'm doing with this yet. Hey, what can I say? The magic isn't there. Last week the magic was there, and I was able to come up with something funny. I got to think a little bit more about that. Let's do something that doesn't require much more thought. We can either ink, or we can do the finished penciling on this. Let's get a couple of pencils up. So, are we still recording? Well, the computer seems to think it is. Look at what happened to my black wings. Once were mighty long pencils, now they're these tiny little things. Ooh, this is very awkward. I can't get close enough to the board. And since we're not really zooming in, you people really can't see much. So I don't think that will make a good show. What else can we do that would make a... you can ink this one. You guys really want to see me ink? Why don't we just cut it short then? Yep, do whatever makes you happy. And I'm going to be happy with a 30-minute show today. Thank you for joining us for Fido Live. We still got to come up with a title for this. How about, if you're not sexist by 2024, you're not paying attention? Too long of a title. But it was a funny line anyway. What should we call this? What have we talked about? and the Acolyte and Disney. Zaslav splitting things up. Tenacious D. Oh, Tinfoil Hat. Hey, Tinfoil Hat episode. What the hell? Tinfoil Hat episode, or tinfoil hats are not just for conspiracies. Tinfoil Hat episode. I didn't really do that much conspiracy stuff, but what the hell. Hopefully we'll see you next week, and hope everyone enjoys these shorter formats. Everyone gets to go home early.